Welcome in, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this edition of the 42Q Partner Connect webinar series. Today, we're going to be meeting with one of our new partners, Canvas GFX. So they're working with us on some of our work instructions features. So we're going to be going through and talking a little bit with them about what they do and kind of how we're working with them at 42Q. As I'm going along during the webinar, if you have any questions, down at the bottom of the Zoom window, there's that Q&A button. If you click that, another box will pop up there. You can post any questions you have. At the end of the webinar, we'll have a few minutes to answer any of those questions that you posted, or allow you to post any of those in the chat as we're going along as well. All right, so we're going to go through and do some introductions to our presenters today. Most of you know myself, but if not, I'll introduce myself as well. And then we're going to go through and talk a little bit about the 42Q and Canvas GFX partnership, kind of what we're working with them on. And then I'm going to allow kind of Pat to go through and start talking about what Canvas GFX does and explain that to everyone a little bit further, so you can kind of see what their solutions are helping with out in the market today. All right, so myself, I am Bobby Hanna. I'm the Training and Technical Writing Manager here at 42Q. Most of you know me, so I am the host for all of these webinars. We're going through the Partner Connect webinar series. But today we are meeting, as I mentioned, with Canvas GFX. So the first presenter that you're going to see is Patricia Hume. So she is actually the founder and former CEO of Canvas GFX, and now she's currently the executive chairperson. So Patricia, you want to go on and introduce yourself? You're on mute, Pat.
You know, I'm careful not to be muted at the wrong time. But anyway, Bobby, thanks an awful lot. And everybody, thanks for joining us today. As Bobby indicated, my name is Patricia Hume. Indeed, I was the founder of Canvas GFX. We started our journey about 5 years ago. Last Monday, the 17th of March, I handed the baton to our new CEO, Mr. Dean Marsh, and stepped in as executive chairperson. My role there is to ensure the continuity of everything that we've built thus far and support the organization in any way I can. It's also my honor and privilege to allow Ellie Linehan to introduce herself. She will be doing a short demo because seeing is believing on our webinar today.
Thank you, Pat, and thank you, Bobby. Hi, I'm Ellie Linehan, VP of Solutions at Canvas GFX. I work with our prospective customers and our partners closely to handle the technical details of our product and helping them get more value out of our solution. So I'll be happy to show you a demo on today's call.
All right, thanks, Pat, and thanks, Ellie. All right, so the reason we started this 42Q Partner Connect webinar series is that, we at 42Q, we are that bridge between your systems of record, so your PLM, your ERP, and the actual shop floor. So we're handling things like the product routing, making sure that your products travel the specific route they should travel and only travel that specific route. The track trace and genealogy, being able to go back and see what happened to a unit, who did it, the different subcomponents that went onto that unit, where those came from. Things like the asset management. So all of this, the equipment that you have on your manufacturing floor, being able to handle the maintenance, all the things like that, being able to get your real-time reporting, your WIP visibility, being able to know currently what's going on, not only at your current facility, but if you have multiple facilities, knowing internationally what's going on at all those facilities. Your quality enforcement. So making sure that if there's checklists or things that need to be performed before your operators start working, that those things get completed and get completed correctly before they can actually start that work. And then your process enforcement. So making sure that if these specific measurements need to be met, that those are met, and that those units can't progress on until those things are done. So we handle a lot of those things. And one of those features that we work with is electronic work instructions. So being able to display these digital work instructions to your operators. So normally in these Partner Connect webinar series, we're talking with people who are handling things outside of our space. So PLC management, sensors, the monitoring supervision, ERP, PLM, things like that. But in this case here, we're actually talking with a partner who's helping us enhance one of our existing features. So Canvas GFX, that's how we're working with them on, is to enhance our capabilities around our electronic work instructions. Because we've always been able to display things like PDFs, websites, documents, all kinds of things like that. But when now we're starting to get into areas where we want to start doing things like 3D renderings, CAD drawings, and things like that. So instead of us having to build up this technology, we're partnering with Canvas GFX because they've already got a great solution around that. So I'm going to kind of flip over here, and Patricia, I'm going to let you kind of go on and start explaining, kind of the problem you guys were seeing and kind of the reason why you guys were started and what you guys are all about. So Pat, I'll let you take it away from here.
Great. Thanks, Bobby. Yeah, so our thesis back 5 years, 5.5 years ago now was it was time to change the paradigm of how people created, collaborated, and consumed work instructions. So whether it's on the manufacturing floor or out in the field for fix and repair, we started to lean into what we, call digital first. Nothing new. We all understand digital first. But the intent here was to have our customers, give them the ability to move away from paper-based documentation that was text dense and introduce the concept of visual, 3D, highly interactive documentation that would transform the way the frontline worker achieves excellence in their everyday work. It's a software solution, it's cloud-based. And it enables, as I've stated, manufacturers to create, collaborate, and consume what we call digital interactive work instructions. Bobby, next slide. But, we went a little bit beyond the need of what would be traditionally considered a work instruction. We take this all a step further. We combine the power of what the industry calls model-based enterprise, model-based documentation, and we marry that with composable workflows through the use of a no-code drag and drop concept that we call smart gadgets. The frontline worker then can experience a better and more efficient way to perform their task at hand while improving quality. But the concept of model-based allows the organization to know that the documentation that frontline worker is using is the most updated version of the design. We have a relationship back to the PLM, back to the single source of truth, so that at any given point in time, the documentation represents that which the engineers have designed and engineered. Next slide, please. We are all about partnering. And the reason we're all about partnering is we believe that we can bring real value not only to our partner, but also to our customers. So we met the team at 42Q back in the fall of last year, and it was sort of an instant appreciation of what each other were doing, and certainly our ability to augment the value that 42Q brings to the market is something that we care very, very much about. But equally as important, bringing more value to you, our customers, 42Q customers. We believe that, in this case, we've heard this many times, 1 + 1 equals a lot more than 2. And the value that we're able to bring to you that are using both products. Next slide, please, Bobby. Ellie's going to do a quick demo, but I want to kind of set a context because she's going to show you a lot of stuff. The platform is comprehensive. It's a single platform, but it has 3 working components that interoperate with each other, and of course, with software that is around the Envision platform. We have 3 components. We have the concept of creation, and this is where an author, a creator of content, uses our browser-based capability from within the cloud to create digital interactive instructional information. The individual can bring in 2D, 3D, JPEG, video, text content, whatever it might be, to create within a single pane of glass this highly informative and interactive instructional information. And like most cloud solutions, we have a portal, and the portal is there to manage documentation, to administer users. So there's a set of sort of operational capabilities that reside in the management portal. And then we created a viewer or a consumption experience. So within the platform, again, from a browser, any device, connected or unconnected, you can interact and consume this highly visible content to help drive high quality, high efficiency, and high productivity with your frontline workers. Next slide, please. We built the platform and then surrounded it with APIs and SDKs, which allows for massive customization. But we know that not every customer has the time or capability to take a rich platform and then customize, writing code, making it work with other systems, etc. So we came up with a concept, not new, but our concept of composable workflows. These are workflows that can be composed, created within the document. So we have different types of what we call smart gadgets. And the intent here is, as I said earlier, you drag and drop these gadgets into your document, and that then enables new capabilities. It triggers actions, if you would. And it can be data, it can be different types of objects. But Ellie will talk to you a little bit about, creating checklists for safety and compliance, creating certifications, documents for education, data feeds, different forms, even parts ordering can be done from within the Envision single pane of glass. Next slide, please. But we didn't stop there. Integrations have been somewhat of our mantra. We fit beautifully inside existing enterprise software, as evidenced in our relationship with 42Q MES. 42Q has a wonderful customer base of loyal customers, and 42Q is an innovator and a thoughtful producer of MES capability, seeing the value of, build, buy, or partner. In this case, they partnered to bring incremental value to you. But we also integrate with PLM and PDM systems, with ERP, with QMS, knowing that you've made a big investment in enterprise software. And it's our goal to be able to preserve and augment the value of that investment and preserve those workflows that work in your organizations. So we're super excited to be here today. We're super excited about the partnership with 42Q MES. I want to extend my sincerest gratitude to the team there. We work very fast. We met in the fall of last year, and here we are in March of 2025, touting the value of
Absolutely.
our relationships together.
Definitely.
So I'm going to pass the baton to Ellie and let her give you a view of what we've just talked about. Seeing is believing. So Ellie, over to you.
Hi, and thank you. So I'll show a brief demo, try to demonstrate the range of what can be produced and consumed in Envision. As questions arise, please feel free to add those in the chat and certainly handle them either in the call or after. So let's take a look at a classic Canvas Envision piece of content. Canvas Envision produces a content called Envision Document or EVDoc. This is consumable on the web. It can be embedded inside other applications like 42Q MES. It can also be consumed offline. Inside Envision documents, we'll notice the intermingling of 3D, animated 3D, text, 2D, as well as video and image. Anytime there's 3D content embedded inside an Envision document, it's interactive for the end user, so they can really interrogate that model. They can understand things like part numbers, they can hide things as needed, and it will always snap back to its author's intended view. So inside of Envision, we're really using that 3D model to create a step-by-step sequence to describe things like assembly, disassembly, and maintenance of hardware. The 3D views we can show step-by-step, hiding components, exploding them, adding labels, exposing that PMI or product manufacturing information, that 3D GD&T, to really describe the process going on. So in this document, we can go through step by step, see how we utilize 3D views as well as images, along with 3D animations to describe this assembly sequence. Animations are a very popular piece of content in our tool, especially to enable a really green workforce, perhaps multilingual, leaning on the visual content over text-dense instructions to describe the sequence of events visually, so it can be readily comprehended. And this is a very easy tool to use on the author side. We'll walk through this a bit more. We can see the use of annotation lenses as well. The author can highlight components as needed to emphasize components of interest. We can also use layered content for various levels of detail for, let's say, new or experienced consumers. We can use streaming video as well. So we have the interactive 3D as well as the streaming video. And that's helpful oftentimes in things like wire harness routing, welding, things that are not well described in 3D, but still are better described with highly visual content. So we can take a brief look at some other examples of work instructions. These work instructions utilize some interactive elements on top of what we saw in the last, which is these embedded gadgets. This example here is an action button. The intention is to actually provide some intentional friction to ensure that the consumer of the documentation is following the instructions. So for example, PPE, making sure people slow down and confirm comprehension or proper adherence to an instruction. Another example is notifying experienced technicians there's a change in the instruction. Perhaps it's been the same for a long time, but there's a critical change that we want people to acknowledge. Another great usage of this digital first web-enabled content. This is all created using no code, so we're able to drag and drop these interactive elements. Another is an interactive table of contents. We saw this used so frequently that it would be helpful to include a drag and drop, easy to navigate table of contents. At the bottom, we see this progress bar. This is another embedded web element, another gadget that people can drag and drop and add some interactivity to their document. We see a stopwatch. We support stopwatches and timers, especially in procedures that have, say, a curing time associated with them. We can have that helpful gadget right inside the instruction. We have some check elements as well, so confirmation that we've followed the instructions as written. So some examples of those gadget web-enabled pieces of content. In this example, we'll look at a maintenance instruction using many of the same elements, but on top, we also have something I want to show, which is adding feedback. Calling back to my days in mechanical design, observing builds, I often saw observations by technicians that were really important to the engineering process. So being able to collect feedback from the consumer of the documentation so you can enable this continuous improvement cycle. We have a direct way to add feedback using a right click, and this is sent back to the author. They receive a notification. So say things are unclear or things are trending in a certain direction, they can act upon that feedback. We also enable an embedded form for feedback to make that even easier. And then finally, we have an interactive parts list, another useful gadget. This can be used to do things such as order parts based on the data in the model, such as part number, part name. You'll trigger a easy to configure email to order parts using the model as a reference. And another easily extensible an easily extensible use case would be to utilize this parts list and this interactive model to record defects against the part numbers. So finally, we'll jump into the second part of the application, which is the portal. This is the central place we manage users as well as the Envision documents. You'll notice centers on the left-hand side. We can give people permission according to what information is pertinent to them. We have a basic life cycle and version history on the documentation. When we integrate into a PDM or a PLM, we can synchronize the control of this document with that system as well, so you can utilize more sophisticated change control. As a consumer user, I'll only ever see the latest release versions of these documents. So I can use this as a central library, even if I don't integrate into an MES application. So I can access my documents from here. And I'll jump over now to the last part of the application, which is the creator application. You'll notice readily that this is a very intuitive, modern UI. So if I select something like a 3D object, I'll see the 3D menu show up. The 3D editing is very straightforward. So I have a set of tools that allows me to create these custom exploded views. Just the slice of functionality I need, not to do 3D modeling, but to manipulate this model and essentially democratize access and use of the 3D model. I can update the 3D model with a new version when it's available, so I can permeate that change to all the views and animations in the document, which is a lot of time saved as engineering changes. And then as far as using gadgets, there is an easy way to drag and drop those gadgets, as I mentioned. So if we want to include that interactive parts list, it's a single click of a button. I have a few configuration options, but it's that simple. It's no code. So you can really take advantage of that digital first workflow to have richer and more interactive instructions. So that is a 30,000 foot, very fast overview of our application. And with about 5 minutes left, I'm happy to take any questions. Bobby, if any came up in the chat.
No, we don't have any yet. So yeah, like Ellie mentioned, if there's any questions, go ahead, and we got a few minutes now. But I think I'll mention, I think everybody can see the incredible value in this of us working together, because you get the ability to build out these incredible work instructions in Envision and then have them show up to your operators in 42Q. So I mean, it's a great. This was a kind of a no-brainer, and as Pat mentioned at the beginning, it moved very quick because it was kind of ready-made, for us to work with you guys on something like this. It's kind of a perfect fit for us. I think there's a lot of value for our customers, and then also, for your customers using Envision that maybe feel the need that, okay, maybe we need more than this in the MES world. I think this partnership is going to be very beneficial for both of our customers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's really a perfect match for us. The ability to orchestrate the delivery of this content is really powerful in the workflow. So we're very excited to continue to work together.
Yes, and we are as well. So it's we're going along here. So I will be posting a recording of this on our YouTube channel, and we'll be sharing that out as well. And I'm sure the Canvas GFX team, they're going to be sharing it out on their side as well. So usually a lot of people view these recordings. So and Ellie, if you will do me a favor, stop sharing your screen so I can share the contact info for you guys to make sure that.
Sure, I see your screen at the moment, but I am going to, yeah, I see stop share.
All right, there we go.
Yep, got it.
So I want to make sure we share out the contact for Patricia and for Ellie. So here's their contact info there, their LinkedIn. You can reach them at Canvas GFX, and there's their email addresses. That way, if you want to reach out to them and talk to them about being able to, utilize Envision for building out your work instructions, you can get in touch with them at those methods there. And otherwise, we haven't had any questions yet. So any questions down there? Oh, wait, here we go. One thing. We do have one question here. Can we add cycle time for jobs in maintenance and production?
add cycle time. Potentially collect cycle time and yeah, include timers for intended cycle time. Those would both be supported. So either, yeah, I suppose incorporating like embedded cycle time would be something we would support using our timer approach.
And I do know in 42Q, and I
You
apologize, I'm
might
not
have
sure.
your own mechanism as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and I apologize to the person that asked that question. I'm not sure if you're a current 42Q customer or not, but in 42Q, we absolutely, in our production workbench, in our operator interface, we have built-in cycle time widgets. That's definitely a big thing that we use, and we've
Mhm.
had those around for a long time because that's a very important thing for operators to know. They need to know the standard, they need to know how far along they are if they're exceeding it and things like that. So yeah, we definitely have widgets in our pre-built production workbench, and then also we have the ability to build custom production workbench pages, and we have widgets for those the cycle time in there. So yeah, so whether you're a 42Q customer or not, or an Envision customer, yes, that sounds like there's cycle time options for both. But if you're working with 42Q and Canvas GFX, which is the optimal thing, you definitely are going to get some cycle time widgets. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you to the Canvas GFX team. Thank you to Pat, and thank you to Ellie. Pat, you built a great product here, and I know you're handing it over, but it's you got a great thing going there.
Thank you so much. It's a real pleasure, Bobby. And we look forward to great things together and to your customers, our customers. We look forward to hearing from you. So thanks so very much.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Enjoy.
Thanks.
Thank you.